about it. I'm simply talking about the statistics and the numbers. Remember, we started with 2.2 million, and they did that on purpose so that they could show great success. 2.2 million, now 60,000. Look at the great work. No, that's not the way to look at it. 2.2 million was never an active, real number, and we shut down a $22 trillion economy because of it. And now the death to 60,000, which is on par with the number of flu deaths in America every year. They told us that this week, remember, this is going to be, these next 2 weeks, these next 2 weeks, it's going to be Armageddon. It's going to be the apocalypse. It's going to be bad. And in these 2 weeks, they're revising everything down. Remember, they told us these 2 weeks, you better expect the worst. We may not have a country after these next 2 weeks. There may not be enough people to go back to it. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really, really bad out there. It's going to be real. Now they're revising numbers, the death numbers down during the apocalypse week. The falling projections, a Bloomberg story, but with a falling projection, the result of aggressive social distancing behaviors Americans adopted to curb the spread of the virus may accelerate Trump's effort to develop a plan to urge Americans to leave their homes and return to work next month. I'll tell you something I'm a little worried about regarding how many people are going to be scared to leave their homes. Particularly, how many millennials are going to be scared to death to leave? They're scared to death anyway. They make up the snowflake generation. Be scared by a shadow of a conservative on a college campus.
Fuck you, Grandpa Rush.
It doesn't even take a real conservative to scare them on a campus, just the shadow of one. And if they're scared of a conservative shadow on college campus, they're going to be scared to go back to work. That has to be conservative. We have to wait and see if it happens, but...
Conservatives don't scare me.
So here's Dr. Fauci, the real data...
Wow, look at my head.
Over to real data now? The real data...
The real
it is
data.
highly likely we are having a definite positive effect by the mitigation things that we're doing. This physical separation. I believe we're going to see a downturn in that, and it looks like more than, 60,000 and 100,000 to 200,000 projected. Having said that, we better be careful that we don't say, okay, we're doing so well, we can pull back. Folks, this.
This
is. They're going to have to explain this, and I know how they're going to do it. The doomsayers are going to, they're already setting the stage for doing it. Our policies, our requests for social distancing and all that made all the. If we're going to say that, that means we have to trust the computer modeling data, and that's the data that's been all over the place. 2.2 million, 200,000, 100,000, 240,000, 500,000 UK. The numbers have been all over the place and been revised down. I also have a story
It's
here from
called
a
modeling.
It may well be that
fucker, models change.
Causing problems, not solving them, because of one of the unique characteristics of coronavirus. More people using... I'm going to wait till I read the actual piece, but the percentage of people on ventilators are not recovering. More people are recovering not using ventilators than those who are put on them.
What?
And there's a medical reason for this, which I will share as a fascinating piece. Now,
yeah, it's because people who need ventilators are the fucking worst case. You fucking medically ignorant asshole.
I got so many stacks of stuff here.
If you don't need a medicator, yes, of course you're going to recover better.
Yep.
Fucking
Here
idiot.
we go. Okay, audio soundbite number 1. This is March 31st. So, about 10 days ago, me here on the EIB network. I'm not a doctor, and I make sure that I am just speaking as a layman here. But it could well be that so many Californians have been exposed to this virus. 5,000 to 7,000 Chinese arrive at California airports every day. You go back and count that up, add it up from December, January, February. What if the people of California have somehow been made immune to it because they've been exposed to the virus and don't have it or found a way to fight it off? It's a gigantic question. California ought to be the epicenter. It ought to be ground zero of addiction, and it isn't. Now, the governor clearly says it's coming. Governor Newsom and the mayor of Los Angeles both say it's coming, so it may be premature to be commenting on this. But it's still the disparity here in the number of cases and the number of deaths and the number of hospitalizations in California versus, say, New York and some states on the East Coast is striking. Exactly. And herd immunity is the virus arrives. I mean, nobody knows it. Nobody knows it exists. We're talking about perhaps even last October, November, December. It arrives from China via travelers, and people get sick. And there's no word about coronavirus. There's nothing out there to scare people. Just get sick. It's a respiratory virus. They think it's the flu. They think it's a cold, depending on how bad it is. Some people go to the hospital with it, get checked out. Maybe some people perish. We don't know, because there were no stats. If they perished, I'm sure it was chalked up to the flu. In the meantime, all these people, a lot of people get it with no symptoms. This we know. We know that 98% of the people who get coronavirus recover. So this creates massive immunity to it. The more people who get it and survive it, creating antibodies, passing it along, then you have, this is what's called herd immunity. Dr. Fauci has spoken out specifically against herd immunity as a solution. But it was posited by me and also the brilliant Victor Davis Hanson, who lives in California. It was posited that herd mentality is a much more logical explanation for why the numbers in California are so low, as opposed to a 2-day head start on social distancing over New York. Come on. Here is me last Thursday on this program discussing why I thought California's rate of coronavirus infections was so much lower than New York. Let me just tell you what I think it is. I'm a layman. I'm just telling you what I think. Not a medical guy. I'm not telling you with ontological certitude. I think it is herd immunity that took place in California in December. A lot of people had something. They didn't know what it was. It wasn't flu. They lived through it. They got past it. That's what I think happened. California. From the San Francisco Chronicle, study investigates
not a medical
if COVID-19
professional.
Came to California in the fall of 2019. If so, the state may have built up some herd immunity. Researchers at
Well,
Stanford
of course, herd immunity
Medicine,
is always
that's
important.
An august facility. It is
August.
highly accepted and revered. It's not a quack
Also known as
operation, in other
August.
words.
Who says that?
Researchers at Stanford Medicine working on a hypothesis that the coronavirus first started spreading in California in the fall, which could explain the state's low case numbers. Article also mentions that California instituted social distancing before New York did, but just 2 days prior. It cannot be the explanation.
At least he cites scientific papers.
The researchers from Stanford are doing antibody tests in the Bay Area, but they won't get the results for weeks. They seem to believe that the lower case numbers are due to herd mentality. Now, if
You
that's
mean
the
immunity?
case, it would mean that a lot of you in California have had the
Or herd
coronavirus
mentality.
and didn't know it.
I think he meant herd
You
immunity.
either were asymptomatic.
It's
there are a lot
okay.
of people
It's okay,
that get
folks.
infected that have no symptoms.
Rush
Their immune
Limbaugh's
system
getting
handles
old.
it
He's
somehow.
getting geriatric.
There are people who get it.
I think he meant
and
herd
think it's the
immunity,
flu.
not herd
It
mentality.
has
But
similar
it's good.
characteristics.
He's
because
old.
It's a respiratory
He's
disease.
kinda
It
going-
affects the lungs.
he's
In
going
some
down the
cases, it
ways
replicates
down here.
pneumonia in certain patients, which is an infection of the lung. But
By the way,
psychology
don't
here,
look to Rush
if you
Limbaugh for
don't
your
know
scientific
that there's a
advice.
killer
Just telling you.
virus out there, and you get it, then you don't know that you've gotten a killer virus. You just think you've gotten sick. And getting sick is something that happens to all of us routinely. Some every year, some every other year, some of us, you never know.
Twice a
But you
year.
get sick and you deal with it. If it's really bad, you go to the ER. If it's really, really bad, they put you in the hospital. Most people deal with it at home. They go to a grocery store, the drugstore, and they buy over-the-counter medication, try to make themselves feel better. If you don't know that there's a killer disease out there and you get it, you're not going to think you're going to die. And you're not going to act like you think you're going to die. You're not going to act like it if you don't know it. I think a lot of people have had coronavirus and didn't know it. They've had it a lot sooner
I
than
do
we
agree
became
with that.
aware of it. And especially in California, and I think also in Oregon. Now, it takes suppose these are medical stats, it takes 2/3 of a population to be infected